What is up, fight fans? I am Jason Burgos for SportsNot.com, and I'm going to take a look back at the results of UFC 277 and what could be next for the winners and losers from the card in Dallas, Texas. Of course, you've got to start off first with the main event. Amanda Nunes beats Juliana Pena by a unanimous decision over 5 rounds. Fun, competitive fight. The big question going into that was the first fight. The loss by Nunes, was it a sign that there was a new star, a new superstar in the women's bantamweight division, or maybe just a rough night, a weird off night at the office for Amanda Nunes? In the end, it looked like it was more of an off night. Without a doubt, Juliana Pena is very tough, very durable, fantastic gas tank, but she's not necessarily a fighter that's exceptional in any specific area. Not the best wrestler, not the best striker, not the biggest power, but her quote-unquote superpowers is her durability, and she showed that in a major way at UFC 277, getting knocked down around 4 times by Amanda Nunes, still putting up a fight, using her gas tanks to still throw up submissions late in the fight, still being dangerous, but nevertheless, in the end, she falls. Amanda Nunes is now the first ever 2-time champ in UFC history. Question now is, did Amanda Nunes restore her prestige? Yeah, for the most part, she did. Yeah, she didn't finish her. She claimed she could have, but she didn't want to. She, again, proves that she is the best female fighter on the planet. What comes next for Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena after this fight? Is it a rematch at bantamweight? I mean, without a doubt, while Amanda Nunes did, for the most part, dominate this fight, a case could be made for a third fight because Juliana Pena won the first one. She was still competitive at points in this one. But for me, I don't want to see a rematch at bantamweight. I'd actually like to see a rematch at featherweight. Give Juliana Pena the chance to maybe be a historic, another 2-division champion in UFC history, maybe not at the same time, but having won both belts. And it would be an interesting fight. It adds some glamour to a featherweight division. It's kind of pointless at this point. So that might be a fun way and a chance for Amanda Nunes to make, again, history as a champ that is, again, defending both belts in their second reign in this position. Moving on from there, it was co-main event. Brandon Moreno wins interim gold in a 3rd-round TKO of KaraFrance. Fantastic fight, really fun fight, as you would expect from both of these men. The question now is Brandon Moreno the best flyweight in the world, even though he does not have the lineal title, which is still held by Deiveson Figueiredo? For my money, I would say yeah. The first fight was highly close. It went to a draw between the two of them. Moreno couldn't have won. He won the second fight. He finished Figueiredo. Third fight, even though Figueiredo won by a unanimous decision, a lot of people thought Brandon Moreno won that fight. He goes in, he beats KaraFrance, a red-hot fighter, a really top fighter in the flyweight division. For my money, I think he is the best, not by way more, but I still think he's the best flyweight in the world, even though he's the interim champion. Is he the favorite going into this likely 4th fight against Deiveson Figueiredo in the winter? I would think so. You have to. I mean, he seems to continue to get better, and he's so well-rounded, so talented, so durable, great guy. So, like, a very complete fighter. If he had major power, he'd be almost illegal. He's that good of a fighter. But again, not just like he's probably a better flyweight right now. I wouldn't make him a huge favorite, Deiveson Figueiredo, but he is the favorite going into that fight. What's next for KaraFrance? For my money, since we are lined up for a 4th time with Moreno versus Figueiredo, Aleksandar Pantoja would make a lot of sense next for KaraFrance. He was on the same card. Dominant victory over Alex Perez. He probably is deserving, honestly, of a title fight. If he's willing to wait until next year for his title fight, then wait. And he gets the winner of Moreno Figueiredo. But if he doesn't want to wait, KaraFrance versus Aleksandar Pantoja makes a lot of sense. Going on from down further on the card, Derrick loses by TK on 55 seconds to Sergey Pavlovich. Some people thought it was controversial. Was it? I don't know. It wasn't maybe stopped early. You can maybe make a case for that, but let's not forget the shots from Sergey Pavlovich had Derrick Lewis fall on his face. When you fall on your face, a referee's job is to stop the fight, to save a fighter from themselves and not take any more damage. We're only still learning so much about CTE. It isn't worth it. But even if he didn't stop the fight, there's a good chance Pavlovich would have eventually stopped it and then really legitimately knocked him out cold. Do we really want that? We probably don't want that. Is there reason for concern about Derrick Lewis and his career right now? Maybe a little bit. I mean, he's only 37, so in terms of heavyweights, that's prime years for a heavyweight. Heavyweights can be pretty good until like 42, 43. That said, he's lost 3 of his last 4, all dominant finishes, all by TKO, although against elite level competition. So there's definitely reason for concern, but concern that maybe he's not a top 5 heavyweight anymore. Maybe he's a back of the top 10 and a top 15 still. Nonetheless, going off of that, what's next for him? Curtis Blaydes is a guy who fought on the card before. He won by TKO, but it was because of an injury to Tom Aspinall. He clearly is healthy. He can get into another fight soon. Maybe some might make the case for Lewis versus Curtis Blaydes, because Curtis Blaydes has a loss to Lewis, is a chance to avenge his loss and stay in contention. I preferably like to see Sergey Pavlovich versus Blaydes. They're close in the rankings. Makes a lot of sense. Pavlovich has earned it. I would like to see that next. After that, Magomed Ankalaev breaks Anthony Smith's leg during their fight. He wins by second round TKO, and it looked good again in the fight. How serious is Ankalaev is the question now. The guy has 9 straight UFC wins over guys like Nikita Krylov, Volkan Ozdemir, Thiago Santos was fighting at UFC Vegas 59, and now Anthony Smith. All really good wins. Those are impressive wins for a guy like him on the way up. Now he's deserving of a big name fight next. There's a lot of options in the top of the division, but if Yuri Prohaska and Glover Teixeira don't fight again, maybe a Glover Teixeira fight would be very interesting. There's just a lot of options, but he should get a top 5 level kind of opponent next. He's done enough. He's proven enough. Going on from there, the big question now is kind of what's the situation with Anthony Smith? I mean, guy's only 34, but 53 fights in a career since 2008. 3-fight win streak was against Devin Clark, Jimmy Crute, and Ryan Spahn. Not bad fighters, but they're not elite fighters. They're not going to fight for a title. They're probably not top 10, serious kind of guys. So even his win streak wasn't as dominant and impressive maybe as previous win streaks. He's not done as a fighter, but maybe he's done as a title contender. He's not your average 34. He's got a lot of wear and tear. Beyond the fights, there's a ton of training camp wear and tear. This is such a difficult sport to work in. That's maybe a sad part of this event, that Anthony Smith's days as a real serious contender are probably over. Other notable events from UFC 277, Drew Dober again with a body shot strike finish against Rafael Alves. Impressive. He's continues to build his reputation as just one of the most exciting fighters in the lightweight division and just in general. When is Drew Dober ever in a bad fight? This guy's always in exciting fights and back-to-back finishes. Now he's always a fun guy to watch. Anytime he's on a card, he's a must-see. And also Hamdeh Abdel Wahab, first native of Egypt to win a UFC fight, came in on short notice to beat Dontel Mays and got a good solid win. Even though there was a point where he might be in trouble, might get finished, he comes back, gets the win. First Egyptian winner in UFC history, makes history in that. And that is my review of UFC 277.